everybody. I'm probably not going to be able to do a porch setting again this Wednesday. We have things to do. Real quick to keep you updated. Sue's at the doctor's right now, the eye doctor, testing the eye that she had operated on last Wednesday. And then this Wednesday, she's scheduled to go in to have the other eye operated on, but they want to test the first eye first before they let her go in for the second eye. It's nothing serious. Her second eye is basically cataract surgery, which I guess is not a really big thing. But in the meantime, her appointment tomorrow is like around 12:30. Usually I do my porch sitting around noonish, so I can't do it again. I'm going to answer a few questions real quick. I don't have anything picked. I'm just going to randomly go through here, and I'm going to answer them the best that I can, or at least give my opinions on things. The first one is from, she commenting on the video I made about sinkholes, the difference between sinkholes and catastrophic ground collapse when it comes to insurance. Pelt down posse. So I've lived in Florida all my life, 64 years. I know where the sinkholes are most likely to occur. Take a look at the aerial photos or maps. There are tons of lakes and ponds there. Those are sinkholes. They con people to move into that place, and boy, they are in for a big surprise. Also, most available land now is swampland. Well, that's true and not true. Most land available around here is not swampland. It's pasture fields. They already own something like 10,000 acres now of pasture ground from farmers. And I can tell you for facts, at least from 466 south, and especially 466A in south, and I know 44 in the south. All them retention ponds are all man-made here. I know because I seen them made. My neighborhood's got retention ponds everywhere. I was here when they dug them out and made them. Most of the lakes in our area is all man-made. I know that because I watch them go out there and fix the liners in them all the time, and I was here when the bulldozers were here, bulldozing all that sand out to make those ponds. Those are required by Sumter County law for fire. That way, when the fire trucks show up, they throw a hose out there in that pond, and they can use all that water to help extinguish a fire. That's why they're there. Now, there are a lot of swamp grounds here. Right behind me is a swamp area, and the reason why that swamp area is still there is that, once again, that comes under Florida law. The natural wildlife and everything has designated that as a wetlands. If it's a wetlands, you can't do anything with it. You can't plant, it is what it is. You got to leave it alone for the wildlife. Or there's a lot of wetlands that's not there because of basically native wildlife. They have certain laws about migrating birds. If there's migrating birds that comes through this area and uses a certain wetlands as they migrate south or migrate north, that has to be left alone for the migrating birds. So the statement you make about everything here that has water on it is a sinkhole is totally inaccurate, and I know that for facts. As far as them conning somebody to come here, nobody conned anybody. When you say conned, who's they? You say they conned. I don't know who they is. If you're talking about the developer, he just bought farm ground. He came in, he has a plan. You have to submit that plan to here. It's the Wildwood Commission over there, and they look at those plans. How many houses per acre? What's the square footage per acre? Where's there going to be a retention pond? Because they require that, once again, for fire. And so nobody conned anybody to anything. Nobody conned me to come here. There was nothing ever said about any of this kind of stuff. All the information you put here, and I do respect the fact you've been here 64 years, and when you talk about where all the sinkholes are likely to show up. Well, the sinkhole alley that I read also came from Florida University up there, where it talks about where most of the sinkholes occur, the counties where the major hurricane devastation happens, and the counties where most of hurricanes hit first, and all that kind of stuff. That's where that comes from. It's not something I made up. It's not something I read in a local newspaper. This comes from people that keeps an eye on things, and they keep accurate records on all this stuff. Nobody conned anybody into anything, and by saying the only land that's available now is swampland is totally inaccurate. I don't know where you live or anything like that, but I can tell you here, it's just literally tens upon tens of thousands of pasture land. Anyway, I'll read it. I don't know who it's from. There's no name whatsoever. It says, "Thanks, Skip. We've been watching you for a very long time and are sincere in giving valuable information about the villages we are renting this month, and I just took a quick look at the weather vane and water tower at Paddock Square. Back where I come from, there are Amish house movers that could repair those at a fraction of the estimated replacement. Besides, I believe that the developer should be maintaining these. What do you think? It doesn't make no difference what I think. I don't own any of this. All I know is how things are done, and I like to alert people on how some of these things are done, and whether you like it or whether you don't like it, sometimes there's no obstacle around it. The district areas, they build. They put in the infrastructure first. That's what a lot of the bond money's for. The water lines, the electrical lines, it's all buried here. The streets have to go in. I even think they got to build recreational pools and stuff like that. The infrastructure's got to be in before they can sell that first lot. Then they start selling that first lot. And then in that district, he appoints the district supervisors for that first year or two. And those are basically his puppet men to approve everything. And then after that, that district is turned over to the residents. Streets are turned over to Sumter County. Sumter County maintains those streets. All streets are public. And the developer washes his hands. He moves on to the next district to start working. He made his money here. He's done. He's gone. Now, there's a lot of things in place that it's like a police or whatever that's in place that he starts, and he could make changes there, and he could do some things there to make them better, but he's not going to do that because it means he has to hire more people to get things done better or something like that. And when he has to hire more people, that means that our amenity fees or our maintenance fees or one of them fees is going to go up. And that's what they try to avoid as much as possible, keep those from going up. So should he have to replace those? I don't know. I don't know that he owns them. Maybe the district owns them down there. I'm not that deep into it. So if the district owns them, then the districts will have to see about getting them fixed. My point about all that is that you have to see to it that the developer is building this stuff properly. He contracts all that stuff out. He doesn't necessarily walk around with a magnifying glass and look at everything being built. Do you think that he walks in every house being built here? No, he doesn't. He has people in place, the contractors, they inspect those houses, and then they give reports to one of his companies about that kind of stuff. Him personally walking through houses ain't happening. I don't even know what the cost of those kinds of lumber is here, because that's just not normal lumber they're using to build that water tower or those water tanks they got up there, which basically is for looks anyway. But what I do know is the tower itself should have been built with some kind of a pressure-treated type of lumber or some type of a wood lumber that resists rot and insect infestation. And they do have that lumber. It's probably a little more pricier, but look, that stuff will last 20, 30 years longer. This town square is not about 8 years old, 9 years old, somewhere in that area. It was being built when I bought this house, and I'm going on my 8th year here. So at the most, I'm going to say that town square down there has been 10 years. In 10 years, that stuff's rotten already, and this is not the first thing that they've replaced being rotten. So I equated that by saying those golf cart trails down south of 44 are not installed correctly, and you can see the damage to this day. I'm going to let that go because I've said enough about it, but that's what I was doing with that, was showing if you don't hold his feet to the fire when he's responsible for this stuff, now when he turns that district over to you, they're going to be coming around knocking on all our doors through our commissioners or our supervisors saying, we're going to have to come up with $750,000 to fix this, $200,000 to fix that. Now, good question is, do I think we're being taken advantage of here when it comes to prices on things? Absolutely. I have said this over and over and over again. And if you watch all my videos for a long time, like you say you do, then you should already know this. I talk about how the contractors are raising their prices a little bit at a time, trying to figure out where that peak is. Is that bad business? No, it's not bad business. If I have as a business owner, I would too. I mean, everybody here at once, when I was buying a house, the average price of getting your yard mowed every week, they don't do it every week, but they tell you every week, but they don't do it every week. They'll say you have $25 for a yard my size. Over the years, that's went up to $45. Am I complaining? Absolutely not. Price of gas. I'm expecting it to go up another $5 before it's over with, but it hasn't yet. So no, I'm not complaining about all that, but competition here is tough, especially now because getting parts is hard. Hiring people here is hard. You've seen what's happened at McGrady's pub down there. $15 an hour, 401k benefits. What is it, tier 1 to go to the village's schools, charter schools. I don't know, 401ks. I don't even know what else they got down there. And they still cannot open Grady's pub because they still can't get enough people to work there. Can you believe this? I mean, as a person my age, the idea of can't find people to do work, it's just amazing to me. Somewhere in our system, we are falling apart. We are falling apart when children want to live with their parents till they're 50 years old, and kids don't want to go to work. They'd rather sit at home and do nothing. There's something wrong in our society here. Anthony says, thanks, Skip. There has been so much news lately about homeowner policy premiums increasing substantially, in addition to some policies not being renewed at all. Here in New York City and New Jersey, premiums are getting out of hand. Thanks for providing us with all the information. Well, I know that a lot of these problems that we're suffering here is also the same problems that they're having in other areas of the country. The difference between us and other areas of the country mostly is, we're a retirement community. And I don't think we should be suffering these kind of problems here in an area where 90% of the people here are on a fixed income. I know you hear that phrase all the time, and it's almost got to the point it don't mean anything, but it does mean something. Gas goes up to $5 a gallon. Policies double and triple in price. The price of cars, they're wackadoodly. I know, because we're looking. And it's just nuts. I mean, the groceries, everybody complains about grocery prices. What do I know about it? Nothing. But everybody tells me that the grocery prices, my wife tells me that the price of stuff is really going up. Are we going to get priced out of here? Not yet, but I'm keeping an eye on it. Roofing scams and beware. That's the title of the video I done, what was it, last week maybe? I don't even know. Roofing scams, beware. I just put that information up because I was reading more and more and more about it. And so I just got into investigating it, and I just thought, well, I'll do a small little video of this, not knowing who knows what's going on down here, but I know there's a certain amount of my subscribers, they're wanting to move here, but they don't know anything about what's going on here. And that's basically what most of my videos are. The average daily life of what goes on in the villages. It says, my brother was scammed years ago. He has since died and sold. He was in Mira Mesa. That's a nice area. That's actually one of the hilliest neighborhoods around this area, mostly. We had no help from the sheriff's office. Well, I can't speak for that. Brother had dementia, and this black man from Wildwood took advantage of him. Somehow he befriended him. The bank tried to help since he had been a customer for such a long time. It was many things to the tune of $60,000. Dementia persons are really taken advantage of, sadly. Well, I can't even pronounce your name. Muza Clover 4. I can only tell you this about dementia and Alzheimer's. My dad had both, dementia and Alzheimer's. And I'm going to do a story, but I'm going to put it on Patreon only. I'm not going to put it on YouTube about what I did about that. I can't speak for Florida because I don't know the laws on that here. You can Google it probably and find out. But in Indiana, if you've been medically diagnosed, and that was the key, somebody can have dementia or Alzheimer's, and the whole family will know it, right? But unless that person's been to a doctor that basically specializes in that, and he's been tested, and he's been legally, I say that word, legally diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia in Indiana, then he does not have the protection of the law. And my dad he was legally diagnosed with both by not one, not two, 7 different doctors. We kept looking for that magical cure, I guess, Finally, you just come to the realization, as sad as it is, this is what we got to deal with, and we'll just deal with it. He had somebody come along. I was working, and I was down in Florida at the time, here at my first home, and I got a phone call from my mom, I think, and I was talking to her, and then she was telling me about Dad bought this vacuum sweeper. And I said, well, what was wrong with the one you had, Mom? Because she had, I don't even know what it was called, a Kirby of some kind. This thing was the best vacuum sweeper I ever seen for an older person. It actually had a transmission in it and a reverse. And it responded to the slightest touch of the handle. If you pushed it forward just at least a little bit, the transmission would automatically go forward. And if you let go of the handle, or if you stopped, it would stop. And if you pulled back on it, it would automatically go in reverse. And it was so easy. I used it several times. It was so easy for Mom to use. See, I was concerned about things like, what if this thing goes forward too fast and pulls Mom down? It wasn't like that. And it was really nice. So when she said Dad bought this new vacuum sweeper. I said, what happened to the one you had, Mom? She said, nothing. She said, that's the one I used. He said, oh, your daddy just felt like he had to have it. And I said, well, what kind did he get? She said, I don't know. He said, it come in several boxes, and he's in there trying to figure out how to put this thing together. And so I said, well, I'm coming up this next weekend. Tell him to wait when I get there. I'll help him. Not thinking too much about it, but I'm still wondering, why did he buy this vacuum sweeper? So we get up to Indiana, and I go to the house, and there's this big box sitting there with a bunch of little boxes on top of it, and Dad had a bunch of bags laying on the floor that had nuts and bolts and screws and wires and all kinds of stuff in it. And I look at this thing, and I go, it's a huge, I don't even know what kind of vacuum sweeper it was, but it was huge. So I asked Dad, I said, well, how much did you pay for this? He said, oh, he said, I don't remember. He had dementia and Alzheimer's at that time. And I asked Mom, I said, when did he buy that? She said, well, I went over to see Darlene. Darlene's her sister. She lived about 2 blocks down the road, and Mom would walk over there. And she said, I went over to see Darlene, and she said, when I came back, he had already wrote a check and bought this thing, and the guy left it here at the house. So she shows me the check, $10,000 for this. And I said, let me see the receipt. And I had the name of the company and a phone number on there, thinking this company's not going to exist, right? So I go outside with my cell phone and I call. And that's all I got to say about that. And with that, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see all you guys on the other side. And by the way, when we do our next porch sitting, I'll give you more of an update on how Sue's eye is doing. I'll try to get her to sit down with me, and we'll try to explain all that and what that was all about. Like I say, I don't think it's a big deal, but I know a lot of you want to know, and I'll have her explain that to you. So with that, y'all have a good day. Thanks for watching. See you all on the other side.